Good afternoon. Good afternoon. Okay, I'm working on my sculptures. There's quite a bit to do. Um, and although I've done more fire, and actually one fire, I mean the last one shattered the glass, even though it wasn't covered in the glass. It was just, I mean, on the side of it, but it was so hot, so I mean it shattered the. So I needed to prepare a new one because it was part of the symbolic apparatus. And this was burned not. I mean, I didn't let it burn. I mean, like to the end, but it's already so burnt. I mean, it all looks like pile of ash and oil, like oil and pee and other material, like in the bottom. Keep it like that to the street open. So I mean, it's open to the elements. So we should see now. After like about an hour or 2 hours after the fire, it was open like that to the element, and like that it's like it really looks like, I mean, like a heap of ash. By the way, you see the cleaning machine. You know that the cleaning machine, I like. There is almost every day that it comes here, like many times, several times a day. The purpose of the cleaning machine, of course, is to terrorize me using sound, like, because it's so noisy under my window. I mean, normally, like in normal basis in Israel, it arrives like once every 6 months or so. But here, I mean, it arrives every day, and sometimes several times a day. So I will be subjected to sound terror, of course, amplified by the bicycle device. This is Israel. This is where I live. You need to get me out of here. So I've taken 3 samples, and we will watch it in a separate video that will start in a while. This is more of an agenda video. So yes, so we've done fired. I'm working on the. And the other thing that I've done is to completely refurbish the big spaceship. This is the new design. Maybe I will still like add several touch-ups later, but this is the color scheme, the color table, and I will add varnish, but later. I mean, in a couple of days. And I'm working on like on the other spaceships. Like this one is almost ready. We need, of course, to assemble it, and also to add some color because it's kind of like blend. But the idea is to be more like, I mean, on the like bright white spaceship, or something like that. And so when we have the 2 smaller ones, this, I mean, that are made of like the same, I mean, that are made of like, I mean, each egg is one ejaculation of my ejaculation. And so it's wrapped in, of course, toilet paper, and this is like wrapped in nylon. And I've added like to each of the balls, like there is like, I mean, kind of a souvenir from the crucible. I mean, kind of like, I mean, big chunk of material from the crucible, so it should contain a huge amount of neurons and life forms, and they should live and multiply inside the clay. And there is also, I mean, beneath the clay there is an aluminum foil layer. The cracks in the clay are I mean, are normal for natural clay. This is wrapped in another layer of natural clay mixed with synthetic clay, and above it synthetic clay. And it will be more like, I mean, on the pinkish red color scheme. And the last one will be gray and perhaps even black. I don't have like black. I probably use a little bit of acrylic. Like I will cheat and add like color, like, I mean, using acrylic, but it's fine. And so and touches of wood. I have like a new. I bought in one of the. Actually, there are 2, like, I mean, 2 very, I mean, nice synthetic clay like packs that I bought. This one is of wood type. It's actually very nice. And this one is kind of like pinkish red, and it's very suspenseful. It's mixed well with other colors. Of course, I mean, the idea is like to use, like, and as I said, the color of the clay, it's synthetic or natural itself, and avoid acrylics, even though I have a huge experience with acrylics. Like, I mean, I've made hundreds of eggs, and each one is different with different mixtures, but it just that it doesn't hold very well. So I prefer to avoid it, even though I've done hundreds of this in the past, and all of it, almost all of it is lost. But yes, I mean, when if you use acrylics, it gives you huge, variety of oil options, of course, and you can actually also use oil to color. This was non-intuitive, and I've only tried it after a lot of experience, and it was kind of experimental. But actually, when as always in oil, you need to pick the correct mediums, like the solvents, and so you need to correct and you need to do in a special, in a way. But like I saw that it's completely non-intuitive, because according to my thought, these are kind of sculptures that you hold in your hand. Maybe you even touch it, play with it, Even if, of course, people will actually eventually buy it and cut it in order to eat what's inside, or to use it for scientific experiments. Even, hopefully they will want to keep it. Maybe not that. Hopefully they will want to keep it as a souvenir, and maybe they will take the trouble to actually reassemble it. In that case, it's kind of it's a nice souvenir sculpture, I think, and so so you need to touch it. And so I saw that oil colors are just that famously acrylic dries tremendously quicker, but oil, it never completely dries. But it's not true, because with correct solvents, after about 2 weeks or 3 weeks, actually, it dries on the clay, and it actually looks very, very nice. But I'm not going to do this. I'm not going to do. I cannot work with oil in this hostel, because the smell of the solvents is terrible. I only have this room, and so this is impossible. So it will be postponed to better times. This is an old egg, and the cracks are there for purpose. And I had a technique to create it's not it's not going to break. It's like it for 10 months or so, and there's a special technique that I developed to create eggs that that have this broken look, that any moment a chicken will be hatched out of it. But actually it's completely stable. It's strong. Actually, it's very strong, possibly stronger than other eggs. And I have more of these actually. Of these, I like it because it's kind of artistic. Because there is specific technique, and you need specific kind of combination of clays of different types. I had hundreds of these, and almost all of it is lost. Almost all of it is lost because I had to break it. I was subject to torture, and because they wanted it, the Shabak wanted it so much, so I had to break it, so they will decrease the torture just even in a tiny bit. And it's priceless. It's worth. It's not only that it's worth tremendous, it's kind of a life drug for life medicine for the Titans, but it was a lot of money to humans, because I saw so many possibilities for manufacturing and research. But I couldn't sell it for the same reason that I can sell it now. I'm a slave. Slave cannot sell anything at all. Slaves are property. I'm property of the Israeli Shabak. I need to be rescued. This is another old egg with more kitsch design, copper, bright copper with the dots are kind of they are not germs. They are it's pearl medium. So anyway, so the fourth one, hopefully we'll also do it today. I find the time will be more in the black shades of dark gray and black, and with touches of the wood color, of the wood clay. And it will be different than the rest, because it will be made without aluminum foil. It will be only the toilet paper, or that of course I have here. I already prepared ahead, enough for the last chip, and it will be covered with nylon, and of course with material from the crucible. So it will be interesting. Like so, I mean, not only like neurons for my body, but also all sorts of like life forms that will hopefully like prosper together inside the egg, and it will, and the nylon will be covered with layers of clay without the aluminum foil. This could be done. I've done it in the past. Of course, this symbolizes the symbolics of not of the ships but of the eggs is of course is I think pretty obvious that I mean the of like fetuses that will not develop correctly because it's got all of like I mean hideous life forms I mean that that are inside the egg like I mean and of course this is I mean fertility in general, fertility punishments and like systematic like I mean natural presumably abortions as you know is kind of like I mean a favorite punishment by God since I mean at least in the Near East like since antiquity, you know, it's in the Bible many times and like I mean but in our case it makes sense because you know one of the greatest sins of the Israelis is that I mean they systematically I mean they didn't let the Titans to procreate and to have sex at all. I mean, it's illegal to have sex for the Titans in Israel it's like that for like 100 years. I mean, with each other. Of course, it's completely legal to rape those Titans. I mean, only that in some cases it turns out that it creates diseases. So it's a whole different issue. But I mean, for like Homo sapiens, I mean, besides like the issue of the disease, it's completely they can rape the whoever they want. But for Titans, it's known to be illegal for like more than 100 years, and it's highly and it's punished severely. And of course, that they can't have children. As I said, I wouldn't be surprised if Orin and Hila, my daughters, are actually the first non-Homo sapiens sentient beings that were born in Earth since a long time ago. But maybe I'm wrong. Maybe few were actually born. But if so, I mean, just very few, because it was a major part of Israeli agenda and like politics for more than 100 years, and up until now that the Titans will not, because because many Titans arrived on Israel. I mean, it's like this for more than 100 years, and I mean, and the Israeli encourages slave trade because they sold these slaves like abroad and they use it for all sorts of purposes, but they feared. I mean, you know that Israel has always have been like on all sorts of like conflict, like wars with the Arabs and Iranians and whatever, and it's always like that. And it's kind of like I mean it's part of the nature of the country and they just and so they thought, and it's actually started even before the establishment of Israel because already then I mean there was a fierce like armed conflict with the Arabs. So even before the establishment of Israel, they came to the conclusion that I mean they saw that yes, that I mean the flux of Titans I mean is only getting like larger because of the action of the Israelis, of course, and they wanted it to be that way, and eventually like more than 1 million crossed the gate, and so they wanted to be prepared for this outcome, and they saw to themselves that they can handle any Titans that arrived on like to Israel with their control, because it was always the gate was always controlled by the Israelis, but I mean in both sides, of course, it's like a military base in both sides, and actually there is more than one gate, but I mean it's like military base in both sides. So the Israelis, I mean, they saw that I mean yes, we can control this. I mean anyone that I mean we monitored like its arrival to Israel and its whereabouts, we can control like I mean this kind of like population, even if it's going to be like a sizable like minority in Israel, like not like I mean like just I mean like a fringe group, but I mean actually minority, like I mean a substantial like part of the population. But they thought to themselves that if they will multiply in Israel, this will be this can turn out to be, I mean, they will lose control on their numbers in Israel, and they feared that I mean that the Titans that will be born in Israel will not have like the conditioning that I mean those that arrived from Venus have, and they will not feel, I mean, necessarily feel like obliged like to be loyal to the Israelis, and maybe they will actually join like the many enemies of Israel. And if like I mean the war will start, maybe they will actually choose like the other side. And so in its kind of, I mean, it's so just, I mean, it makes sense. I mean, you can I mean, you can understand this kind of like logic that, I mean, because it was always like there was always a looming war, and they thought, I mean, this, okay, so this, I mean, this might be, I mean, this is like an ongoing state, I mean, state of, even before the formal establishment of Israel during 1948, 49. So, I mean, and they thought, I mean, what I mean, now, I mean, in the next war, maybe they will join our enemies, and then our enemies will be very strong, and they might like, I mean, completely eliminate us from the land. So it was kind of like a, if not justified, certainly and understandable, kind of like, I mean, concern that and the solution, which again, I'm not saying it's that justified, and it's understandable that, I mean, that they should not multiply, and most certainly, I mean, there should not be at any point a size, like, I mean, a sizable like amount of males, I mean, in Israel. I mean, this is like the major concern is that, I mean, to kill the males, I mean, or maybe kill is like a strong word, because it was actually done in all sort of like, I mean, indirect ways, like in the battlefield or in Venus, like they send them to Venus, like in the case of the Black Knight, I spoken about it a lot, like in the bicycle saga. So, I mean, maybe kill like is a harsh term, but the idea is that, I mean, to control the population and more and especially the male population should be like under strict control, and part of it is that it's just illegal for them to have sexual intercourse. Of course, it is legal and recommended, and actually it's part of like the duties of the males, like, I mean, during their like career in Israel, to exchange fluids with the female, because this is needed in order for the female titan to produce the drug that, I mean, the Israeli likes too much, and they sell it abroad. As you know, the tea is many people all around this globe like this drug. So, I mean, they need to exchange fluid, but this is done without. It's always done without sexual intercourse, because sexual intercourse is illegal. Like, I mean, just so we're clear, I mean, this includes any kind of like, I mean, oral, anal, or vaginal. It's all illegal. I mean, they change fluids like in a very mechanical way, and many times even without like, I mean, them like being in the same room at any case. I mean, this was because, I mean, this kind of like exchange of food, I mean, it's not even necessary for them to actually meet, and so sometimes it was done, I mean, just by the Israeli intelligence, like, I mean, in all sort of ways. Again, I do not justify, like, I mean, this kind of like, I mean, diplomacy, or I would say international relation agenda. But I just say that, I mean, you can at least understand it. Like, I mean, you can at least like, I mean, admit that yes, this is like, I mean, a true concern, and that maybe, I mean, that it can, I mean, again, not to justify, but maybe just to understand the Israelis. So, of course, I mean, midah keneged midah, you know, that, I mean, all of this. I mean, this is still true to this day, and of course that these eggs that contains like, I mean, the life forms is of course I mean, a just punishment, and like, I mean, maybe some would say poetic, but I mean, I don't like the term poetic punishment. I'll just say that, I mean, as I say, I don't know what's the translation. The punishment fits the crime. So what's the difference between the eggs with the aluminium foil? And I mean, you don't see the aluminium, but it's inside. But I mean, what's the difference? That, I mean, first of all, the ones that are made just of clay and also the nanobots and the life forms, they signify eggs of Homo sapiens females that have eaten the drug, and there are many of these, like tremendous amount, and it was all sinful. And so this is kind of like the curse of like infertility or natural abortion. And so, and we actually didn't have like starship of this kind. This will be the fourth starship that will be prepared hopefully later today. And the aluminum ones, the ones with aluminum, they as you know, this, I mean, like metal cover, specifically hard one, aluminum foil is not that hard, but it's harder, I mean, like in the context of the egg. So it represents titans. And so if it was just wrapped in aluminum foil, it represents like the eggs of the titans. But since it's both, this is both like the aluminum foil and the clay, this represents, of course, what we call the hybridic life type, which is kind the hybrid. And I spoke about so many times, like I mean, since like three years ago, and it was actually a major part of my art in the initial steps, like I mean, 18 or 16 or 14 months ago. And I spoke about it quite a bit. I mean, hybrids are not, what I call hybrid is not like, I mean, not biologically hybrids. I'm not like creatures that, I mean, the father is Titan and the mother is Homo sapiens or the other way. I do not refer to these kind of creatures. What I do refer to is something that is actually very common in Israel since, I mean, more than 100 years, which is people that hybridize themselves. And this could be, there are two kinds. The first kind, right from the start, was Homo sapiens that they've eaten tremendous amount of the drug, of the tea, and they become essentially, I mean, hybridic life forms. But there is also another kind which is new, and this kind of mostly arose in the last generation after the bicycle saga, which is of titans that grew up, I mean, from they do not remember Venus at all, and I mean, they only, I mean, subjected to Israeli education, of course, in adapting families that are of the scum of the earth. People all belong to the intelligence services and the security services, and they are the lowest of the lowest. So they grew to be snakes and lizards, and they serve in the Mossad and the Shabak. Many of them already actually died very recently. This is like recent development, and they are hybridic not because they've eaten something, like I mean, even though they had, I mean, they also ate things that they should have not eaten. But that in that case, I mean, their hybridization is more like, I mean, it's not like biological or pseudo-biological, but more like, I mean, a symbolic one, because they, I mean, they completely like defiled certainly abandoned and even defiled and humiliated their own background, and they become completely like they Homo sapiens, which means lizard people, snakes. So this is also another type of like hybrids, and that's why we have so many hybrids in the spaceships, like not in the large one. The large one is but anyway, so and now we understand the symbolics. I mean, and of course both, I mean, types of hybrids and also the Homo sapiens that have eaten the tea. I mean, all of like these females. I mean, they should. I mean, the curse of the eggs is very. It's fit to the. I mean, it matches like their crimes. What more should we say in this agenda video? Like I will refer very shortly to, like, I mean, earlier I mentioned that the Israelis like always want something from me. So I mean, what do they want now? I will explain it very shortly. This is something that I've spoken about many times in the past. Like, I mean, many videos. Like, I mean, it's actually like since at least 2 years ago, if not 3 years ago, and it's ongoing issue, and it's not very difficult to understand it, but I mean, it's so cruel and irrational that I mean, I still cannot, like, I mean, comprehend what's actually going on, even though it's, I mean the politics here, I mean, of them, the like, I mean, and there's, you know, I mean, the interests of the sides are very simple, but the Israelis are so cruel and irrational and lizard-like that, I mean, even by now I can't like totally comprehend what's going on, even though it's very simple. I mean, after I understood it took me some time, and of course it was part of the journey to understand it. So very concisely, I can elaborate a lot about it, and I've done it in the past, but I will do it like in just 2 sentences. the first spaceships arrived on Earth a long time ago, maybe more than 100 years ago. I don't know exactly when it came, certainly before the time of my predecessor. And I've mentioned that. I mean, during the time of the predecessor, I mean, the protagonist of the Bicycle Saga, it was already in place, the starship. I mentioned that it was like, it was summoned by, I mean, like a past Rabbi Lord Commander of the fleet, and like a predecessor of the predecessor. And I don't know, it's very difficult for me to say when it took place, maybe like 100 years ago, maybe 80 years ago. So it's already there since a long time ago. And it affects humans since then, and it also affects the Earth. I mean, it contributes to global warming, and it also, I mean, and sometimes, I mean, there are like purges, like the ones that took place in the 80s that I've mentioned several times in the last couple of days. But there are also, periodic radiation events, and I've spoken about it in the Bicycle Saga. I hope that, I mean, you remember. This is periodical. And it's going on for many decades, maybe even 100 years. And the ones that are affected the most are the Homo sapiens that ate the most tea, because this radiation, in a very broad sense, and it's totally non-scientific. Just to get the general concept is that it's kind of like electrical circuit between the magnetic core of the Earth and the spaceship, and it flows through the neurons in the body of the humans. It's somehow, in a very abstract sense, it resembles electrolysis in a way that, in electrolysis, we have like two rods, and we have the mixture on the middle, and what I try to achieve, and this was easy, it's actually proved to be very successful way to energize the neurons, is that the neurons will create chains, and this is actually, you can see it in many like photographs and videos in the microscopic level. They can do it. They can. This is like it's manifested. It's also. It produces. Good. You can see like the outcome of the manufacturing process by the products that are much better. If you do electrolysis right, and immensely more effective and efficient than without electrolysis or without other type of energizing. And I don't know if, in many ways to do it. Up until now, it was the main, up until this new experience with the Crucible, it was the main, and it's not that I didn't try. I tried all sorts of other ways to electrocute, to energize the neurons with electric energy, and I've created all sorts of esoteric devices that prove not to work. And also I tried AC actual devices, but it's very difficult actually. It's a whole. There are many videos dedicated to the AC issue, alternative current, which presumably it gives using AC is potentially you can use 220 volts from the socket, and which is, and much higher watts than number of watts than what you can do is even strong transformer like DC transformer. And also when you use AC, you can reverse engineer the way that the AC created, and actually they had several experiments on it, with the disassembled bladeless fan, if you remember. It was kind of something that I've spoken about quite a bit. The idea is that to rotate a magnet using AC, and inside a coil, and to place the neurons inside the container, presumably the model of the turbine, in a way that they will move inside the magnetic field, and since they are conductors, according to the Lorentz law, electrical current will flow through them. So this is, it was very promising, but I don't have the tools, and they became not safe enough to do it in this room with very basic tools. In order to actually do something like that, I need much better conditions, and like a kind of, so all sort of like, tools that I will be able to safely like construct kind of like a steady device. So again, it's somehow the electrolysis method relies on the fact that they can and they do, and this was actually photographed, create chains of like superconductor chains, and that of course it's not like a complete chain complete chain from the positive pole to the neutral pole, but it doesn't need to be. And arguably it wouldn't even, it's better that it's not like that, because in that case probably the rods would just dissipate. It will melt in seconds, which was already the case actually when I read like very energetic electrolysis, that the rods with a very large amount of neurons and very conductive liquid, not like the ones they use now that are very non-conductive. But in that case, the metallic rods just dissipate before your eyes. Anyway, this is symbolically, at least in the model or the symbolic way, it's kind of like resembles like the way that the scumbags, like the Homo sapiens trash that have eaten the tea is electrocuted like by the spaceships. That there's kind of like a different, the potential difference between the spaceship that is in orbit and the magnetic core of the Earth. And also, it was proven I really liked in a set of experiments that I recorded, and it's in the channel, and I think that is actually very very interesting and successful. It was proven that that electrolysis actually that this kind of electrolysis that is used to energize the neurons is actually amplified and become much more effective when you place magnets inside the electrolysis chamber. But of course you need to do it in a certain way. There are also ways to do it, so you need to do it in a certain way in order for it to actually work at all and to be effective. But it was demonstrated very, I think, convincingly that in this channel that that it is actually like a kind of a magnetic core in the container can with the correct setup of wires can tremendously increase the efficiency of the electrolysis, and we have many videos of this. So it's kind of like so I really like that this, because it's not every theory is proved to be right. Most theories proved to be wrong, and as I said, I created so many apparatus electrical apparatus for trying to energize the neurons with also DC and AC kind of like Frankenstein, so in hindsight you can say, it all looks like junk or like Frankenstein, things from horror movie. But you can say the same of many of the electrolysis chambers that I used. So the only difference is that both look like Frankenstein devices, but one is working very well and it was proven to work, and the others do not work at all. So they were just misthrown. So not every theory and is proved to be verified, and not every device that that you construct proved to be worth anything at all. But this was actually a very nice set of experiments with magnetism. So, and in a way something like that I assume happens between the magnetic core of the Earth and the spaceship, and the neurons in the body of the scumbags they are part of the circuit. And as I said, this is not a new thing. It started for probably more than 100 years in a periodic way. What's new now that wasn't true in the last 100 years is that there is more than one spaceship. I don't know how many you actually watch, but according to my latest update from the captains, there should be 3 now, or maybe the 3rd should arrive very very soon, in the next couple of hours, and more on the way. On the way that they will arrive very shortly, not in a year or 100 years. But the third one should be the very, I mean, if not now, very, very short, very, I mean, and this is new, like that there are many, not only one. Any case, anyway, so just to make it simple, the Israelis discovered long ago that if I walk outside, I supply a kind of like umbrella, like a protection from this radiation, even though this radiation does not negatively affect me. So the fact that it's kind of that, I mean, that I supply an umbrella is not made, you know, like directly to protect me, but it's not really actually easy to understand why it's like that. I mean, why is it part of my nature and the nature of the Sayeret Cherub, like the Cherubian cruisers. And I spoke about it quite a bit in the past, so I don't want to get into it. But there is something here that, I mean, it's not trivial, because it's not directly to protect me. I don't have a problem with this radiation at all. This is used to protect people around me. But of course, this can be misused, and it was abused by the Israelis. So, I mean, when there is a radiation event, and I mentioned it in the Bicycle Saga, and when I walk outside, you can see always, like, I mean, like a convoy of cars after me. I mean, you cannot, I mean, this is something that, I mean, you cannot, like, I mean, not see. I mean, it's just there. I mean, I mean, it's from time to time, like, I mean, when I walk, and I used to walk a lot outside, now I'm under rest. I used to walk a lot outside, and yes, I mean, there, like, it's a periodical, like, occurrence that, I mean, that when I walk outside, there is a convoy of cars that, I mean, are like accompanies me. These are, of course, the worst hybrids, the people with the most, like, I mean, neurons in their body, and they try to get shelter, like, from the radiation by being close to me. Of course, there is another way to get shelter, which is the classical way, which is to run away to Venus, but this proved to be a dangerous. It was used, like, procedurally for a long time, but I spoke about it in the Bicycle Saga videos. If you didn't watch it, I highly recommend it in order to understand the many things that are pertinent for this saga as well, for the origin story, for the Ziggurat of Ur saga, I mean the current saga. So I supply kind of like an umbrella. So you can ask, so why did you put you in arrest? This doesn't make sense, because they framed it for this, and also, I mean, they use the system to punish me severely. I mean, and I'm completely innocent. I mean, like, and it's almost 8 months now, and so it took me a lot of time to understand what's actually going on. And this is incredibly irrational. It doesn't make sense. Why should they do it? And it's not that that I need kind of like, I mean, special encouragement to walk. This is one of, I mean, it's besides reading, it's my main hobby, and also my favorite sport, to walk, and I do it all the time for many years. I do it all the time. So if they just want me to walk outside, like, and presumably to cover much land to supply shelter to various, like, population, it's something that I've already done, like, I mean, since, like, long ago, because it's again, this is my main hobby. Like, I mean, maybe, I mean, in addition to reading, which is also a main hobby, but it's a main hobby and also the preferred sport. And I even, like, I mean, psychologically, I mean, like, I depend on it, like, in a way. Like, I really suffer now that I can't do long walks. I mean, because doing long walks was, I kind of think that I got used to it for many years now. So why did they do it? And it took me so long to understand. It doesn't make any sense, but there is one explanation, and it took me a lot of time to understand it. And I understood because I've seen, like, how they act, like, all around me. Like, they try to force me to do all sorts of stuff using, you know, the rapport mechanism, or all sorts of, like, tortures, or just, I mean, by noise tech. So the idea is that they want to control when I actually get out. They can't stand that I have this control over them. So the idea is that I will always be, like, during the night, I will always be, like, in a rest, like, I mean, so not outside, and that only during the day I will have options to get outside, and I will want to use these options because I couldn't, like, get outside when it was dark. So I will have, like, more incentive, like, to actually get out during the day, but this will be monitored by the court and by the guardians, like, in the house arrest. So they will be able to control when I get out. And if, for example, there is, like, a day that I do not get out, like today, So they start the torture, like, I mean, the drilling noises, and, bicycle smell takes, noise detects, and, the whole, I mean, and just, I mean, threats, like, from, like, you've heard, like, I mean, this morning, like, early morning, and also yesterday in early morning, like, threats from other people, like, in the neighbors, like, threats of violence. So, and just, they want me to be scared, so we get out, because they want, like, more shelter from the radiation. And according to their understanding, it's easy to force me to get out by just all this torture. But the problem, from their perspective, is that I control, like, when it actually happens, and they couldn't stand it. This is all satanic, but I mean, it's the best explanation. I mean, because, like, what we see here is completely irrational. And of course, now it became much more, like, stupid, because the radiation is now more severe than ever. So they need me more than ever, and they just need me to get out, like, to walk outside. And this is something that I enjoy and have been doing since, like, so many years, and this hobby and preferred sport. And I cannot do it because I'm under arrest, because they placed me under arrest specifically so they will be able to control when exactly I'm outside. These are the Israeli people. This is the land of Israel. I wish it was like a joke, or kind of like a crazy invention, but it's not. It's not a fairy tale, and it's not a crazy invention. This is reality. This is reality. And this is reality right now. Take place right now. This is Israel. You need to rescue me from this Nazi hell. You need to rescue me and my daughters using arms and legs, not mouses and tongues. Okay, so before we start with the microscopic examination, so one more thing that might be so we should, maybe should be in our agenda. I'm not sure. Depends, like, on actually. Maybe the audience can have, like, because we stopped the fairy tale in the middle, and it's not like that. It's not that, like, we lack the material, because actually, as I said, I articulated this fairy tale about, like, 2 years ago. In a trip to the desert, and I didn't record any of it, because I had, like, for some time I thought that maybe it should be better to write it, like, it's more like, it's better. That this kind of, like, material is better to be written than, like, to be, like, spoken, like. But the better is the enemy of the good, as they say, because it takes much longer for me to write, and and it's kind of like a process, and I never, like, had, like, an opportunity, and so I am satisfied with the decision to not write it as I planned, and just speak as I have. And of course, I should, and maybe it's some future point in time I will actually, like, produce, like, a written version of this, but it's much easier and faster, quicker to just say it, like, to speak, to tell the fairy tale. And I think that this fairy tale, it's good that it's kind of like, it's a very it's beneficial for you understand the general context of the topics that we deal with in this saga of, like, the Ziggurat of Ur saga. So this fairy tale, you can understand that it's kind of like, it relates to the general context. So maybe we will finish today, or maybe we can create suspense and finish this conduct the second video tomorrow or some other day, because there are so many things that should be done today, and I really want to, like, to concentrate, like, on the ships, and on, like, because there are, I want, like, to have the four ready, possibly even today. So by tomorrow, maybe the fourth one will actually appear, and it's important because, first of all, that I have the issue of the four, the symbolism of the sign of the four, like, symbolism, like, I have many, like, series of paintings that are in four, like not exact copies, but kind of like, like this, that one, and this, sometimes I mean there are like similar like paintings that are not part of like the four, but so there's like a Titanomachy 4 and like the Rule of Satan 4, and so it's kind of like it's kind of like a good symbolism. It's good symbolism to also have like 4 clay sculptures of the same like plague or curse, which is the starships, and also according to my estimation, even though I cannot be completely sure, I mean, you know what, I don't know. I mean, I thought maybe it's kind of a symbolism like in the types of radiation, but it's too hypothetical, like to try to force like physics into this discussion. So let's keep it in a symbolic way. So I'll try to finish with it today, so maybe I will have less time for more videos and continue. So we should see. So in just a couple of minutes, I'll start another video with the 3 samples that I've taken from the crucible.